Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good evening everybody. Militiaman and Crew here. I just want to say, hey, it's going to be a great weekend. Everything looks great. We got some great topics that we're going to cover tonight, and I won't be talking about Epstein. Hey, there's an article. One of the things I like to do is get articles and go back in a little bit of a history and why they have some relevance to Iraq and what they're up to. And one of the things is that Iraq increased their gold reserves to over 145 tons. And that's a report from the World Gold Council. It says World Gold Council announced back on June 13th, 2024, Iraq has increased its gold holdings to more than 145 tons. It looks like it's about 145.7. That's a lot of gold. It says basically they're like the 31st among the globe. That's not a huge standing, but Iraq's not a very big country by the scheme of things. But ultimately, who's the biggest player in the ball game is the United States remains the world's largest holder of gold with reserves amounting to 8,133.5 tons. That's an amazing amount. So that was back in June of 2024. And then this month we have a gold report, so to speak. It says Iraq recorded a decline in inflation, which is really good. And it coincided with what? Their gold reserves were rising in the first quarter of 2025. It says this expert attributed to the central bank's policy of diversifying investment instruments by balancing dollar-denominated debt securities with gold purchases, which said are considered a safe store of value. That's a pretty big point, and they're the ones talking about it. That central banks, the gold is a reserve, and they also remember, for valuation of currencies, they take into consideration what you have in assets. In gold, you're talking about foreign reserves, you're talking about natural resources, all of those good things. But ultimately, these policies are aimed to support and strengthen the central bank's reserves as part of a monetary policy and orientations, which is why I am so happy to have Noble Gold as the sponsor of tonight's video. You're probably thinking your 401k is safe, that it'll be enough for your retirement. But what if it's not? Here's the truth. Your 401k was never designed to make you wealthy. It was created in a corporate boardroom to shift retirement and investment risk onto you. Designed to keep your money trapped, exposed to Wall Street crashes, inflation, and uncertainty you can't control until now. Americans are taking back control by turning to real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands protect their future by converting part of their retirement savings into physical gold. Talk to Noble Gold today and learn how safe and easy it is to roll over your 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit, including a step-by-step guide to get started. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. It's time to get your money out of the danger zone into something real. Get rewarded for getting started. Open a qualified account at noblegoldinvestments.com and they'll send you 2 5-ounce silver America the Beautiful coins free. So the next article I want to get into is called "The Dinar Wakes Up Electronically. Iraq Protects the Doors of Cash with a Sovereign Card." It says Baghdad is moving towards a structural reform of the financial scene through that launch of a local payment card. I think we all know that as the national card. It's based in Iraqi Dinar, so that's not very all new. But ultimately, it is for an effort to strengthen the monetary sovereignty of the... Sorry about that, guys. Winnie she's so flirty, it's not even funny. But anyway, it's talking about monetary sovereignty, and but basically they're going to... it's a way to achieve partial disintegration of international payment systems in light of market fluctuations and geopolitical events. So you know how they go, they roll. But ultimately, it's going to consolidate financial trust between the citizens and the state. That's a big thing, is because Iraq hasn't had a whole lot of trust. Okay, but anyway, it says imposing alternative digital tools. It says building integrated local system and an independent legal and regulatory nature in harmony with the experiences of other countries that have the same type of protecting data and their monetary policies from hacking and other circumstances. And of course, international dictates. They're trying to be international, trying to be competitive. They're doing all these things. And it says here that the new card is presented as an option that does not intersect with international cards, but complements them. It says in a double formula that allows freedom of use, but with a national reference that raises the value of the dinar and opens the door to digital independence, benefiting the ambitions of the Iraqi state. Now, it's interesting that they use that term, that raises the value of the dinar. Is that because it brings in more interest, or is it because it gives more trust? Probably likely the both and more. Iraq has been reducing note count by using electronic means, which is helps support the overall value of the currency, just like having non-oil resources do, revenue streams, taxes and tariffs at the borders. You got to remember one thing, is Iraq in a long time ago was only based off of oil. And since they're going to be inclusive of many different components of revenue streams, and their banking system has been reformed, they have electronic systems, they have electronic systems at the borders, they have all that stuff. All of that goes to strengthening the value of their currency. There's many components to it, but here they mention raises the value of the dinar and the door to digital independence. I think that's pretty interesting. It's kind of out of the blue. I don't know if it's a smoking gun or not, but it's not specifically stating that it's revaluing your currency, of course, but the bottom line is they're mentioning it's important. Here's the International Chamber of Commerce announces the imminent formation of a legal team to protect Iraq's interests. Now, Iraq has been doing mediation for commercial trade over in Europe. And if Paris is one, I think it could be Germany, but they haven't been all that successful in winning the cases when it comes to that. They don't explain why, but ultimately they want to have a team of lawyers, etc., judges and everything set up so that the International Chamber of Commerce can do their magic. And it says, the International Chamber of Commerce revealed Thursday that it's establishing headquarters in Iraq, asserting that this move will spare Iraq billions of dollars in losses. It also indicated that its process of forming a legal team to protect Iraq's interests. And it says here, the International Chamber of Commerce of Iraq, it says Iraq was losing many lawsuits filed against it, like I've already mentioned. It says Abu Dhabi or Paris. Okay, so I was wrong. It wasn't Germany like that. But anyway, it says Iraq has become a member of the World Trade Organization, and it says ICC. I think this is a little bit misleading. Iraq has observer status with the WTO. It doesn't have full accession to the WTO that I can find. But anyway, but it doesn't matter. The point is, the ICC works in conjunction and collaboration with the WTO. And the ICC does mediation, okay? And they work in collaboration for countries with disputes. And they also help with a session process, or because of Iraq's needs, if they need stuff, they can go through these guys at the ICC to be able to do that. But anyway, it's pretty powerful information. There's a really big report that I have in Patreon that outlines the relationship with ICC and the WTO. And it's important. So come into patreon.com, take a look at that. But they didn't put this out just for fun. It's the convergence of things that we've been seeing is really pretty powerful, because Iraq is truly getting ready to integrate into the global financial system. And they're going to need all the help. And the ICC seems to be one of those entities that's there in the forefront and want to do that. And this article, we've been over it before, but it's customs. Implementing the TIR system will move Iraq to advanced levels in the field of international trade. It says continued successful and seamless implementation of the international TIR system at a number of border crossings, a move it describes as strategic. It indicated that this move will advance Iraq to advanced levels in the field of international trade. It says the implementation of the system represents a true activation of the transit systems and aims to capitalize on Iraq's strategic location as a link between Europe and the Middle East. It says the TIR system will contribute to Iraq's advancement in international trade and will help develop the transportation, technical, and logistics infrastructure sectors. He explains that the project complements the Development Road Project, which the Iraq government seeks to implement as part of their comprehensive plan to improve regional trade. The successful implementation, in my view, the TIR shows Iraq is clearly ready for international trade. To me, the timing couldn't even be better. There's convergences that are going on, and this is just one of them. The other is the budget, the salaries, and the oil flow through the Cyan pipeline. The Fedwire fund service is set for implementation within days now. The same day there is a federal Supreme Court case about salaries that involve Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance, and that's going to be on the 7/14/2025. That's Monday. That involve the budget, salaries, and oil flow. It's all necessary issues that are taking place in short order, and again, it's coming down to the convergence of things. And here's a snippet that I have from the Fed Funds Wire Service. The Federal Reserve has scheduled the ISO 20022 implementation for March 10th, 2025, and it's going to happen on the same day as the court case. Interesting, July 14th, 2025. It says that a single-day migration will replace the proprietary Fedwire application interface manual, FAIM, format with ISO 20022, and no translation services will be provided post-migration, and institutions must be ready to avoid operational issues. I would have to say the reason they're talking about this and they're doing it in conjunction, it's a theory, but in my view, it's because al-Sudani has a necessary need to massage his political side, the religious side, and the people at the same time. He's got a big job. He's probably very frustrated right now that he hasn't been allowed to enter the international financial system just yet. But interconnectivity, I think that it's basically a timing situation, but fascinating. Talking about convergences. It's probably no coincidence as all these things are happening right around the same time. And coincidentally, those two things happen on or around the same time on July 14th, which is Monday. It says here the Federal Supreme Court will consider two cases of Kurdistan region. Here it is. Federal Supreme Court has set July 14th, 2025 as the date to consider the lawsuit filed against the federal Prime Minister and the Ministry of Finance in the federal government, in addition to her position requesting a ruling to keep the salaries of employees Kurdistan region away from political conflicts and from the actual agreement. It's a good read. I think you guys can come into Patreon and check this one out. I don't think the timing of this is any coincidence. So I'm pretty excited to find out what happens, because everything's coming around. Salaries, the oil, budget, and now you have court case. Now you have everybody needs to be interconnected to the Fedwire system. Really? That's going to be big. Okay. It says the Ministry of Commerce announces the implementation of a package of qualitative initiatives, effective measures aimed at advancing the national economy. So we're talking about the Ministry of Commerce. Based on the Iraq government's directives to support the business environment, enhance partnerships between the public and private sectors, the Ministry of Trade, through the Private Sector Development Council and the Private Sector Development Department, I'm sorry, they go on and on. It goes, continues to implement a package of qualitative initiatives and effective measures aimed at advancing the national economy and stimulating sustainable growth. Ministry of Trade, his name is Hanun Karim, and he says that they're in coordination with the Private Sector Development Council, has prioritized creating a stable and investment stimulating economic environment by addressing challenges and facilitating procedures for investors, entrepreneurs in line with the requirements of the national economy. So they have measures that they've done taking place. There's seven of them. One of them strengthening channels of joint dialogue with the public and private sector. One here is the support small and medium enterprises, which is effectively the backbone of all fresh new economies. Talks about supporting digital transformation, developing electronic services to facilitate completion of commercial and investment transactions, creating an appropriate investment, legal, and financial climate for major partnerships, and encouraging quality investments in vital sectors, applying global best practices, talking about continued cooperation, integration with all state institutions and private sector in order to create a competitive economic environment that contributes to stimulating growth, which is what? Creating job opportunities. So these guys have, they're not stopping. They're basically telling us that they're going into an international environment, a global environment. I'm going to bring this up one more time, but it's kind of important. I don't know that we did this on my last video, but here's an article. It's been in the news. Everybody's been aware of it. But it says Iraq's response to Trump's message and increased customs duties. This is coming from Iraq's Prime Minister advisor, Mohammed Saleh. As you guys all know, that he's very, very respected. Okay, so Saleh goes on and says, United States President recent letter to Iraq government carried clear indications of a positive trend, okay, towards strengthening the trade and investment partnership between the two countries. It's clear from the contents of the letter that the United States administration seeks to expand the horizons of economic cooperation and open new windows for the exchange of benefits between the two countries, linked by long-term strategic relations, most notably the 2008 Strategic Framework Agreement. It goes on with many paragraphs talking about imports and what sizes they are, what strategic importance they are, the quality of the goods, the durability, technological advancement. Basically, he concludes the White House message is that it paves the way for expanding the scope of trade cooperation between the two countries by encouraging quality imports from the United States, particularly in areas that serve the goals of sustainable development, such as renewable energy, information technology, high quality capital, that sounds like banks, and consumer goods. And Saleh goes on and says that the American message should not be interpreted narrowly or construed as a commercial threat. Rather, it presents a strategic opportunity to build a broader economic partnership based on shared interests, mutual respect, and maximizing development returns for both parties. And he goes on, they talk about Algeria, Brunei, they talk about Libya, Moldova. So Iraq isn't just the only one. There's been many countries that have gotten similar letters from the United States of America. And there's different reports out, but I'm going to stick with Saleh's assessment over the issue of this other gentleman, Sayadi. You just have to read it, and you can probably pick up on it and reasons why I would lean towards Saleh. But it's a balanced read. I would read it. Come on into patreon.com. Don't forget, we have Discord, free chat room. Super Samson packs the place daily. We have our admin, Gigi. She does a fantastic job in making sure everybody's in the room when they come in and invited, and also to maintain stability. It's a key word we use around here. All right, so anyway, enjoy that tonight, you guys. I think that's all I got for you guys, but I appreciate it if you like our content. Let's see what happens this weekend. I think that the data that we have and the progression and the convergences of all these different things are really showing signs of Iraq is truly getting ready and probably now has the ability to integrate into the financial system. We just have to watch and see what they show us and tell us. I'll be looking forward to seeing or waking up in the morning, because time zones are different, of course, where I live than they are in Baghdad. So I might wake up on Monday morning with some good news. We'll see. All right. But anyway, you guys have a great weekend. If you like the content, please hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget, we do appreciate all those donations, and keep them coming because they do help us take care of the crew. Thank you. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.